Hello my loves, I'm Melly Frost, and on this channel we're talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And this video is about how to spot a narcissist, right? But before I get into this, I just want to say, like, the most important part of a relationship is how someone's making you feel. And so many of us will have had a feeling that something was off about narcissistic people, right? And we've overridden it with our logic. So I just want to say, like, it's not about whether you're definitively clear on whether they're a narcissist or not. It's about being able to trust ourselves and our intuition when something's off. You don't have to know why something's off with someone to be able to trust yourself. But most of us override with logic. We want to know why they're off, right? And of course, later down the line, you're going to find out, if you're dealing with a narcissist, exactly why they're off, right? So first of all, I just want you to be very in your body. Yeah, I'm very intuitive and I've got some psychic abilities, and one thing about narcissists is I can't read them. And I thought that was me just not being able to use my gift. No, I can't read them because they're soul detached, right? So they're hard to read. But I'm going to go into a few things, right? Some of this you would have heard, I'm sure, but just a few things to be mindful of and what you can do about it. So first of all, they're going to push your boundaries. Maybe not straight away, but they definitely are over time. During the love bomb stage, which is the ideation, like initial stage of meeting a narcissist, if you're their target and they want you to be the victim and their source of supply, then they're going to love bomb you. Now, a lot of my clients have said to me, well, I don't think I was love bombed because the narcissist didn't do a grand gesture. It doesn't have to be a great big gesture. Sometimes it will be, but it's just them projecting an illusion of exactly who you want them to be. Yeah, that they're working in the psychic realm, they're intuitive, and they know how to manipulate you. Narcissists are working in the psychic realm. They are attached to an entity of consciousness that we're calling narcissism, which means they know how to mirror back to you what you want from them at the beginning, or at any stage when they're kind of hoovering you and trying to rehook you. So they're not being who they are, they're mirroring what you want. But what you'll find normally pretty quickly is they'll start to push your boundaries, right? They'll start to just erode, where your boundaries lay. So they do this sexually, they do this in so many ways, right? And they'll often, like, once you call them up on it, say that they, won't do it again, and they often will. So when you're knowing that you're being pushed outside your authenticity, your boundaries, your standards, right? This is a major red flag with any relationship, yeah? So get clear on where your boundaries are. Now, in my course Sovereign, I do a lot of work on standards and boundaries. And a boundary is a deal breaker. So I don't think we need to have that many boundaries, right? A standard is kind of like where we want to set the bar for our life. But a boundary is like when things go too far for us, that we're not comfortable. And most of us get manipulated and love bombed and pulled into these relationships that suddenly we realize, like, we're not being true to who we are. Yeah, because we're doing things against our values, against our standards, and against our boundaries. The classic one is lack of empathy. They might not show that to you at the beginning, because when they're love bombing you, manipulating you, yeah, they might seem like the person that you've been looking for your whole life, right? Especially romantically. Yeah, they know what to project. They know how to manipulate you. They know who they need to be, right? But it's not who they really are. In the relationship, you'll notice, like, people with narcissism have a very, they just don't have empathy for other people. Yeah, they don't have empathy for how someone else feels. They only care about how they feel and what they need to get from them. But there's different people the narcissist lines up in their life. They have their targets, their victims, which are their sources of supply, and they have flying monkeys and enablers who are there to keep the illusion alive, right? The projection of who they're pretending to the world in different scenarios that they are. So they're master manipulators, and you might not spot the lack of empathy to start with because they will fake it. They will fake empathy, right? To get you on the hook. That's part of the love bombing. But actually, when it comes down to it, you'll notice that they don't show and demonstrate that they really care about people and are empathetic towards them at all. Often they'll push a relationship too fast. Again, that's about pushing your boundaries, but they'll railroad you into the relationship. It's almost like you won't know what's happened, and you might be doing things that actually are pretty fast in the relationship, right? Which can seem really romantic. It can seem like, I mean, there's no set rule for how long things should take. But the thing is, when they're railroading you and rushing a relationship, you haven't got time to think things through, right? All of a sudden, you're at a stage in a relationship where it's gone further than it maybe should have done at that stage. Right? So do take your time, be discerning, get to know someone. When we're being love bombed and we're very charmed by this idealization of the shared fantasy of what we could have with a narcissist, we tend to ignore things and not ask questions. Ask questions, right? Really find out what they're about, right? Which it won't be much with a narcissist because they're pretty empty shells, but like, get to know how they demonstrate their values, right? For a healthy relationship, we want a shared vision for the relationship and shared values, right? And people can easily say, well, trust is really important to me, integrity is really important to me, but look for ways in which they've demonstrated that in the past, right? Classically, when the narcissist talks about the past or anything that they've done in their life, they'll either be the victim or the hero. If they're more of an overt narcissist, they're more likely to be the champion. If they're more of a covert, they tend to have a big victim story going on, right? So any relationships that have failed will be because they were the victim. They were so nice, they were just so nice. Often narcissists, right, when they are telling you what someone's done wrong to them, it's exactly what the narcissist did to that person. Yeah. So I'm not, you might not want to talk about all their past relationships, but in getting to know someone, it's quite helpful to know, what they've been through, and, those sort of things will come up. And again, you'll notice if they have empathy for their past partners. You'll notice if they've got a very victim story or hero story. And of course, for most of us, I mean, my ex had this victim story, and it was like, I'm very empathetic, so I really felt for him. Yeah, now I know he just passed the blame. And didn't take any responsibility and accountability for his part. So again, that's another classic thing with narcissists. They will not take responsibility or accountability for anything, right? So for most of us, when we're talking about things we've been through in the past, mistakes we've made, we'll say our part, we'll generally take some responsibility and accountability for things that we also did. A narcissist never will. They'll blame the other person, or they will have been so perfect and just been, the other person just abused that fact. With an overt narcissist, they're going to embellish themselves, their skills, their life. They're going to tell you a story of the grandiose story. With a covert one, it's much more likely to be the victim one. What you're going to find behind the mask with a narcissist is lack of depth and lack of substance. There's not much to them. They are whoever they need to be in order to get what they need out of people. Yeah, they're not being their authentic selves. They're soul detached. They're not true. There's nothing deeper about them. Yeah, and they're often very impressed by superficial things, like how much money someone's got. They might talk about that a lot. The superficial things in life, rather than the qualities people have around them, like the kindness, the sweetness, those sort of qualities. They're going to need a lot of, Max used to call it compliments. He used to come back from work and be so annoyed because he felt his boss should always give him more compliments. They want praise, they want adoration, they want attention. They might not show that to you at first, but they're going to get irritated, and you might see a bit of narcissistic rage when you're not giving that to them. So yeah, they have a contempt for other people. They're entitled and they look down on people. They think they're better than everyone. Right? And you will see that coming through, right? It's not a very empathetic way to be, and people mistake that for arrogance, but it's real contempt. They think they're better than everyone, right? Which is why they're entitled to do what they want. So yeah, they're going to gaslight you in the relationship. They're going to devalue you and invalidate your emotions and your sense of reality if it suits their narrative, right? So you might not get that early on in the love bombing stage, but you will soon get into gaslighting and having your reality distorted, and noticing that you're not working with someone who you can work with. They're not a team player, right? If they don't like what you're saying, if you're accusing them of something that they did, they'll just say, it didn't happen like that. I didn't do that. It was your fault anyway. They'll blame shift, all that stuff. Future faking. Yeah. They'll try and distract you from their terrible behavior as the relationship goes on by faking that in the future things will get better. So you're always hanging on for this future time when the ideal relationship will be there. Yeah. And what's really frustrating is during the love bombing stages, the initial stages, it's like we can see they're capable of being what we need them to be or want them to be, but they're choosing not to sustain that. And remember, the narcissist knows what they're doing. They are master manipulators. Yeah. They know they hurt you. They do it on purpose. They want your trauma. They want your pain. They get a hit in the psychic realm. So over time, the majority of the relationship, you'll be invalidated and devalued. Yeah. And slowly eroded. It's hard for people to know what's happening to them because, like gaslighting at the beginning, you know, we can think, well, maybe I did get that wrong. Yeah. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I am being too sensitive because this is the person that we might have fallen in love with, right? Or there could be a parent where, you know, we think they know more than us. So then we start doubting ourselves. And a big part of this relationship is us not trusting ourselves, not trusting our reality, because then we're easier to control. And remember, this is all about power domination and control for the narcissist, right? Getting and molding you into what they want you to be rather than who you really are. So another sign that you're with a narcissist is you're confused. Confusion is such a big one. And you're losing yourself. Yeah. You're losing who you are. You're losing, you know, narcissists typically as well will isolate you away from friends and family. And it will be like, you know, the narrative of, well, they just don't understand our relationship because, of course, you're being trauma bonded. So there's ups and downs, and other people, you know, are not going to understand why you keep going back to someone that hurts you. So there's a lot of like, we have something special and like, you know, but actually what they're doing is isolating you. And they will do more things in your life to, you know, to isolate you because they don't want other people that care about you kind of butting in on what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing. So like, remember again that like the most important part of a relationship is how you feel. Yeah. And seeing if you've got a team player, someone who will actually work with you rather than someone who will just blame you for anything going wrong. Rather than someone who will just invalidate you and say, well, you shouldn't feel that way, right? A narcissist will always do that, right? Whereas someone who wants to work with you in a healthy way will take on your feelings and how things are affecting you and actually want to create positive change with you in order to accommodate you. Narcissists won't do that, right? They'll always be right, and you'll slowly be eroded away. So take your time. Yeah, get to know them, ask questions. So many of us, you know, when we felt something was awful, they weren't telling the truth, we don't dig a bit deeper. You do need to dig a bit deeper, ask questions. Don't be afraid to do that. We can be quite shy because we think, oh, you know, I don't want to be too intrusive, or we don't want, sometimes we just don't want to know because we're thinking this could be the person for me, and we don't ask the right questions. So really let yourself be with your emotions, stay in your body. See how things are making you feel. Be willing to have those like conversations that might be a bit awkward where you're actually getting more information or explaining how you feel about things. Don't let your emotions be overridden, right? Don't let how you feel just be brushed aside. Yeah. That's really important. And then when you start feeling invalidated and devalued as the relationship goes on, that is a huge warning sign that you're with a narcissist. But if you're confused, like that's a massive sign. As you start losing yourself, that's a massive sign that something's wrong. And again, it's not so much a question of, are you dealing with a narcissist? It's much more a question of, is this relationship helping me become more of me? Am I feeling more happy? Am I feeling more authentically expressed? Am I able to enhance my good qualities here? Or are the good things about me, or the natural things, the things about my identity actually being squashed out, right? Does this person help me become more of who I am in positive ways or less of that? That's a big warning sign, right? If we're feeling diminished in any way, or we're losing our sparkle, we're losing our light, we're losing our essence, right? These are all big warning signs. So I hope you like this video. Please keep liking, subscribing and sharing. Do check out my program Sovereign. Lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon.